school student. The Nuggets got waxed. This is Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Thanks for making this your first listen each and every day. We are free and we're available in all platforms. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Check out prizepicks.com and use promo code NBA or go to your app store and download the app today. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network and the Nuggets Insider for 104.3 The Fan in Denver. He's Adam Mares. He's the director of content at DMVR, thedmvr.com. Adam, I'm trying to smile more. My talent coach at Action Network has told me that I need to smile more, which is not my normal expression. So I'm trying to smile more, which especially is going to be weird on this episode because Nuggets fans do not have a lot to smile about. May I start this one?
Be my guest. I was fixing my camera because I was like, looked like I was in an earthquake or something. But go ahead. I like the new smiling Matt. But yeah, go ahead and start us off.
Okay. So I watched the DMVR postgame show because I try not to force Adam to rehash things that he has said over there. And
hey, man, there's only so many things we can talk about. We're going to get back into it today.
Sure. I want to hear from Wind and Dove and D-Line and everybody. Great show. Always check it out postgame. After you rewatch our last episode before the post, I don't know. Just make sure you're watching us too. But on there, the comments are filled, right, with like fire Malone and these type of things. And when those things happen, there is within me this tendency, like it's not a defensiveness of Michael Malone. It's a defensiveness of the process of how these people arrived at that conclusion. But the problem is, if I go down the road of adjusting my position, I am doing you, the audience, a disservice. So I need to get out and upfront right now. Michael Malone should not be fired because the Nuggets lost to the Thunder in December. That's not a thing.
But first of all, you know this. And as this audience, we're starting to do more and more live. As this audience grows, we too are going to get people that every loss, fire Malone, every win, Jokic MVP. It's just the way it goes. So the comment section of a live stream, I mean, that stuff happens, man. That's
sure.
Stuff
no, it's like, and it's not like DMVR, like it, Twitter, like everything.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's absolutely like, yeah. So, I'm not singling that out. It's more a matter of, I needed to get that out there just as like a starter position for, we can talk about how badly Michael Malone, if your kids are listening, you should mute the podcast for a minute. Michael Malone totally fucked this game. We can do that without being like Michael Malone should be fired because the Nuggets are 15-15 with all their injuries and they lost to the Thunder. There's a middle ground here. Now, having said that, boy, oh boy, did Michael Malone fuck this game. Look, ultimately, the starters being prepared to play is on the coach. Like, they're professionals, right? So this is where it gets tough because you made the point after the game about this is not like this is not teaching moments. This is not Hoosiers, right? Like these guys are professionals and most of these guys are veterans. So you can't also be like, okay, they're veterans, but Michael Malone is responsible for their effort. That's true, but they weren't prepared to play. And Malone would agree with that. Like Malone would agree that they were not prepared to play today, and that's a failure on his part. What I don't have like the details of how he's supposed to do that. I'm not an NBA head coach.
Right.
I cover the league well enough to know that the head coach is that's one of his things is the team has to be prepared to play. And that starting unit 1 through 5 was not prepared to play in this game. Physically, mentally, emotionally, focus, effort, intensity, execution, none of it.
Yeah.
And that's on him. Playing the bench out, we are 4 years past that. The Nuggets are 4 years past, I'm going to give the bench a run and see if we can get out a win. You can do that when you're like, hey, this is the NBA and your minutes are not assured.
Right.
That's fine. But you are not in this position. Here's the thing. If Malone after the game had just honestly been like, it wasn't our night. Like, I
Right.
pulled the plug because I did not think we were going to win that game, and I'd rather rest my guys. Like, I would have respect for that because honestly, that's a better approach with where the team that he's coaching is at.
Right.
They are not at, I need to light a fire under these young guys and make them understand. Like, it's not just that the Nuggets are better than the Thunder. It's that the Nuggets starting unit, which lost this game, they all know they're better than the Thunder. They've had this loss a lot. All the guys on that team have had this loss. Monte less. The rest of those guys have had that game over and over and over and over again. I think a lot about how many basketball games NBA players have lost.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's one of the things that separates them, honestly, from like college guys, right? Like the college guys can remember, like, oh, we lost this one game. And
Oh yeah, like JJ Redick's career, he's like 120-7 or something like at Duke or something. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Michael Jordan, on the other hand, lost like 900 games.
Yeah, right. Yeah. This is the thing. You lose a lot of games in the NBA.
Yeah.
Everybody's pretty good. And the Thunder, I will say, like, I haven't thought they were trash all year. When they lost by 70 to the Grizzlies, like, I started betting them because I was like, the market's going to go crazy against them, and they're actually pretty disciplined. Like, they're a professional organization.
I actually think they're kind of good.
Yeah,
like, they're not in the Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
They're not in that bottom tier. They're at the top of that bottom tier, I guess I would say.
Culturally, from the top on down, that team is very focused on, we are going to do the right, like, we're going to do the right things. We're not going to always win. The shots are not always going to fall. We're not always going to have the talent, but we're going to do everything the right way.
Yeah.
And they're organized. Like, I think their coaching staff, the fact that they just promoted Daigneault was not we'll just save some money. It legitimately was, no, we think Mark Daigneault is good, and I think Mark Daigneault is good. But back to Malone, you can't, no. This is not, you made the point on DMVR of like, Jeff Green is like 40. You can't, like Jeff Green's been in the league a long time. Jeff Green is not learning like, oh boy, I got to play harder. I guess my spot in this league. Like, Jeff Green knows, no, if Michael Porter Jr. came back tomorrow, I'm not playing. That's how this league works.
Right. Yeah.
You just can't do this. But this is my bigger, I'm almost done with my rant, Adam. The biggest thing here is this. These stresses that have started with the 2019-20 season that carried through the bubble, which was very hard on them, a short offseason, losing Jeremy Grant, last season struggles, losing Jamal, a shorter offseason, right back into it, has taken its toll. He cannot gear down. And I'll just say this. It is not going to, like, he will not be the coach of the Nuggets in another 5 years if he cannot gear down and accept the fact that this team is, like, I get it. He's looking at it going, they're 15-15. If we fall under 5, because I, in my opinion, it's always back with him with, if we finish under 500, I could get fired.
Oh, yeah, and he's not wrong about that, by the way. Like, crazy things happen in the NBA. Like, just crazy, and I always go back to this. Like, last year, I think it was a mistake he didn't play Hartenstein, but they were 1-4 to start. And I know Malone knows from experience that, hey, man, if you're 2-8, like, you might just get canned. Like, you don't get a chance to rebound. So I think he's always hyper aware of that. And I always think of what Karl Anthony Towns said this year when the Wolves lost like 3 in a row, and he's like, man, I just know how easy 3 in a row turns into 10 in a row and what have you. And I think Michael Malone's always aware of this. Like, hey, man, this league, you got to always be on point, whatever. Tonight was frustrating because the first part of this is that starting unit was as bad as Michael Malone thinks they were. He's not exaggerating that. They were so bad tonight. He did not give them a chance. When the second unit made that run, it clearly was like on their last legs. I mean, they played like 16 minutes straight, 17 minutes straight. When they made that run, it was a great job. They earned, like, they did the thing they were supposed to do. They outscored Oklahoma City by like 12, 13, 14 points. So Malone, I thought at that point, you think, okay, put your starters back in. Maybe they've gained energy. By the way, this is part of being a part of a team. Jokic doesn't always have to be the spark for everyone. Sometimes you hope, in theory, Facu is the spark or JaMychal Green is the spark for Jokic. And tonight would have been a great opportunity to find out if that was the case. And maybe the starters go back in there inspired and like, hey, we can't let those guys down because tonight they handed us an opportunity to win when we didn't deserve it. And let's go out and do this. And it could have been, to me, that could have been a good story. And yes, to me, this was a total Hoosiers moment where it's like, we don't have to always teach these first grade lessons to grown adults. They sometimes that's just not needed.
I'll also say, in regards to like the ending of that and the benching and all that, again, I would have been fine with not playing the starters. I really would have been, because here's like a missing dynamic. I think it would have been okay to just if they have a full complement of players, then he doesn't have to ride that bench unit all the way out.
Right.
But this does get back into it, where it's like, okay, the starters didn't play well, but Jamal and the bench unit got us a lead. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to close with Jamal, and then like, all right, we're within range. We can win this game. So I got Jamal and Nikola and whoever else. Like, I like to think that it was more about like that unit collectively. But I'll just say this.
I agree. And that's why I kind of feel like it was a benching of all 5 guys equally. When I want to be like, one, Jokic should just be above this. I'm not saying he's above like discipline, but
he is. This is the NBA. He is.
He's not above. First of all, there's just no, like, I don't think Jokic is like looking in the mirror tonight and like, who am I? Who do I want to be? Like, I think it's just like, man, he had a bad game. He just didn't, for whatever, it happens sometimes. It's frustrating, but I do feel like there was something, to your point, of, okay, you don't want to bring all 5 guys back. Can we throw Jokic out there for a little bit? We're within 9 points with 6.5 minutes to go. Can we just see if Jokic now can play with Facu, who's flying around, and Michael Green, who's flying? Like, can you just throw him out with some hustlers?
Like, I don't think Monte was good, but I would I would have closed with Jokic and Monte. If you want Facu, okay.
He was hustling.
Yeah, he always does, right?
Davon Reed was hustling.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, you just mix and match. You just find
but even then,
combo here.
For me, like, it's not even about, like, because Harrison made the point of, like, this was a winnable game, and I get it. I honestly think it's just better to be like, I know it's like we're getting late in the season. They're 15-15, 30 games in, right? How many of these are you going to give away? I still think that, honestly, until January 1st, you can continue to do that. I still think that you got like another 2-3 weeks to be like, whatever. I'm fine with pulling the plug on this game. Like, that's the difference is instead of like, they needed to do whatever possible to win this game against the Thunder. I'm the opposite, where I'm just like, you should have just been like, screw it. We're putting in ball, whatever. Like, we played like trash. We're going home. The end.
It's just annoying. There's a lot of different angles and perspectives you can have on this one, and a cool perspective that I don't buy this idea of like tough love and like, you rub your nose in it or whatever. It's like,
not now.
I
think it worked. I think we questioned it early, and I think it worked. I think it's part of the reason why a lot of those guys grew the way that they did. Like,
yeah, there's a difference, but yes, there is a difference between literally 19 years old Nikola Jokic and 26-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, this the whole point is,
and like
college age players, maybe there's a little bit of this kind of thing that works, but they're just past that. They're past that, and more than a point. Tonight would have been so nice, and I really truly want. You can have the conversation on the plane. If Jokic does come back into this game and he plays the exact same way, he looks terrible, and whoever else you put in plays terrible, you get to have the conversation of like, hey, man,
I trust
you're frustrated sometimes when you play well and the bench lets you down. Tonight, the bench played well, and you have that conversation and you share that perspective with them. It's not given opportunity. To me tonight, that was the story that the lesson that was on the table for this team to learn tonight, but it wasn't. Instead, it was this kind of dorky little high school lesson. And it's like, okay.
Let me ask you, is the annoyance with Jokic being benched, the starters being benched, or both, but Jokic more so?
Look, man, Will Barton I think that he just doesn't have it. So for me, it wasn't just that he played well tonight, but I would not have put him in because I think something's wrong with him. I think he's broken. So he's the one guy I look at. And Aaron Gordon, by the way, kind of too, although I would have put Aaron Gordon in because he's another player that's just at that level. So, whatever. It's not everyone, but I do think it's just most of those guys are usually really good. They weren't tonight.
I just need to be like really clear on this. There's never been, look, Jokic has had, we crushed him over game 3 in the Jazz series. I crushed him when he had the bad start to 2019-20, right? Like, I've been critical of him when it's been warranted. The man is most valuable player.
Right.
He's the franchise centerpiece. He's going to go down probably as the best Nugget ever.
Right.
We're just past it. Like, I'm sorry. I know that sucks.
Yeah, we're so far past it.
This was really
lame.
And I don't.
It's so lame.
Well, not only that, but I don't. Here's the thing. I don't know what that does at this point. If you could tell, like, if he comes out and he said, maybe Jokic comes out and destroys the next game and says,
well, he probably will, though, is the thing, because
Yeah.
Jokic destroys most games. So that's
well, no, if he comes out afterwards and is like, what happened last game, talking to coach, like I had like a real, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I just don't.
yeah, I don't know.
So let's take a break. We'll come back. I want to talk more about Joker and his part in the debacle, which I actually don't have put as much on him. But we'll talk about that after the break. First, I want to tell you about TrueBill. You know why free trials renew without your consent, much like a bench being left in until the end of the game? It's a business scam to get you. Don't let greedy corporations pocket your money. Download TrueBill to take control of your subscriptions. It's the new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't need, want, or simply forgot about. On average, people save up to $720 a year with TrueBill. Because companies make subscriptions hard to cancel, TrueBill makes it incredibly simple. Just link your accounts and TrueBill will cancel your unwanted subscriptions in one tap. And your TrueBill concierge is there when you need them to cancel unwanted subscriptions, so you don't have to. TrueBill's got over 2 million users and helped save them over $100 million. That's a big NBA contract. Don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at TrueBill.com/LockedOnNBA. Go right now. TrueBill.com/LockedOnNBA. It could save you thousands a year. TrueBill.com/LockedOnNBA. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. We appreciate it. Make sure to check out our YouTube page. It is the best way for you to support the show. Go to YouTube on your mobile device or your desktop or wherever and just look up Locked On Nuggets and hit subscribe and like. It's going to do us a world of good. Really appreciate it from everyone. And you get to catch the show live if you turn on notifications, so you can catch the show late at night when we record. We got some comments at it, including JS Banger, who says world's finest at it tonight. I love that I've actually gotten that to like permeate world's finest. And you did the emoji too. All right, let's talk Joker. So here is like when I went back and watched tonight, I did a rewatch on it. This is my general thing. I think when I watched it, the sense I got from him was not, I can get whatever I want, so I'm going to wreck these guys. It was, look at how these guys are playing. You guys should eat. Like, he was trying very actively to get easy stuff going out of dribble handoffs. You talked a little bit about this on the DNVR show, but it's important. The Thunder basically played back and then attacked with athleticism and speed because they have
length. They're really a tall team.
Yeah. And so what they did was there was a lot of guys catching it on the perimeter and then starting to shoot and then being like, oh, he's closing out. Okay, I'm going to take him off the dribble. But the problem was in that span of time, a help defender would come. And now you've got them in rotation, which is good. But the Nuggets never got them so far ahead of rotation that they found genuinely good. Like the ball never found energy. They were just, instead of the ball was popping, the ball was aimlessly wandering.
Yeah, it was this. And honestly, this is the thing that's frustrating about it, is that they really were as bad as Malone thinks they were. This wasn't like Malone overreacting because he didn't like the turnovers or he didn't like this. Like, they were bad across the board. I mean, the defense tonight was a joke. Yeah. And it's funny because Malone pregame went out of his way to talk about Jokic and how he should get consideration for all defense. Like, he really went out on a limb. He made a quote that could go viral in the worst ways, sticking up for his guy. And Jokic, and it wasn't just Jokic, but Jokic in the Nuggets tonight, that starting unit, just played no defense tonight and gave up so many points in the paint. It really was a wild one. I think Jokic does this a lot. To your point, he did try to get everyone going. He's playing a very perimeter-oriented game. I still feel like he could have sensed the moment a little bit earlier and tried to like just take over. That's one thing with him I still feel like he can get a little bit better at is, hey, I need to score like 12 points this quarter.
I think he's been so much better at it. I really do feel like this game, the Thunder defense suckered him in terms of, and I will say the other Nuggets could have made them pay for that decision, right? Because the Thunder were basically like, I mean, they showed a naked double on like the first possession, just like a flat out like. Here.
That's easy though. Come on, that's light work.
And so he whips the ball, but the problem was just like the rest of the Nuggets just kept settling. Like even here's like a weird thing to say. even when they were shooting at him, it did not feel like they were shooting with intent.
Yeah.
It felt like they were like, maybe this will go in. They weren't confident. It was like, okay, I'll take this, because they were packing the paint, and they don't have that elite perimeter driver right now, which is still an issue. And like on that front, that's one where they've got to figure out ways to get Gordon in those situations downhill and protect him against the double. I don't know how to do it. You would be able to give me better ideas on that than I would. But like that to me was a missing component, was on these nights where they're like, we're going to just dare you to like drift the ball around.
But here's the thing, the number one way you break this, because you're right, Denver's flawed right now. If you have Michael Porter and you have Jamal Murray, like, okay, they're going to shoot. They're going to make shots. This defense, you're going to shoot out of it. But I think this is what I'm talking about with Jokic. And this is, by the way, why I think some people have such a hard time with him as like, is he really the best player? Like, I think everybody respects how good he is, but because when a team is going to say, hey, we have this scheme and we're going to do this or that, they're not like triple teaming you.
Yeah.
Just go and score. It's Derek Favors. He's a good player. Derek Favors has actually given Jokic a hard time historically, over the last 5 seasons or so. But still, like, that's a guy that you go out and you're like, no, you have to double me. This defensive scheme you have, I'm going to go out and I'm just going to score 25 first half points. Or even if he got off to that slow start because he's trying to set the table, second quarter, come in and try to put up 12 in a row and just say, no, you're going to have to change up your game plan. And I don't think he was up for it mentally today, to be honest.
Well, I mean, here's a telling one. Okay. Derek Favors, and I know that Jokic gets a bad whistle, but Derek Favors finishes with 1 foul.
Wow. Yeah. Yep.
Derek
Favors came into the game with 6 fouls to give too, like that kind of mentality. Like it wasn't he only got 1 foul because he was trying to like avoid fouls. He just wasn't put in position to be tested.
They ran basically pinch post DHO over and over and over again.
In the first quarter they did, yeah.
And so much of it, what it kind of reminded me of is the Celtics do this. They get stuck in this rut. Like the Celtics have done this throughout their time, is just like they will just under Stevens. When the Stevens offense was clicking, it was high energy and chaotic and like whipping the ball around, balls popping. When the Celtics look bad, they look like a college offense just passing the ball around the perimeter.
Yeah.
And the Nuggets did a lot of that tonight, of like they would drive and kick, but it was drive and kick with such a level of uncertainty. Like the Thunder were not on their heels in this game.
How much of this do you think is, I mean, the guy that was worse tonight and the guy that is perhaps
I know it's coming.
No, because he's my guy. Like, I don't like making Will Barton the scapegoat. I don't like that, because I honestly think fully healthy Barton is a different player, but he's not. And I just don't think he's a good player right now.
I want to take this conversation and pull it back a little bit.
Okay.
And I want to more put it in the context of what we've seen from Barton over the last 4 seasons. Barton's injuries have not coincided with whenever they get shorthanded. Barton's the one that gets the injury after they get healthy.
Right.
And like I said this when they got shorthanded, I said the concern is that Will is going to have to play heavy minutes, especially in that span where Nikola was out. And it's not just the minutes, it's the type of minutes you play.
Yeah.
Right? If you are like, think about like PJ Tucker, okay? So PJ Tucker
runs to the corner.
I'm serious. Like PJ Tucker like busts his ass. Like PJ Tucker works extremely hard at whatever he's asked to do.
Right.
But as a function of that, Mike D'Antoni, Mike Budenholzer, Eric Spoelstra, like when Jimmy Butler's not there, PJ Tucker's taking on a lot more responsibility. I would expect PJ Tucker to get banged up here over the next month or so because PJ Tucker's having to do a lot because Jimmy Butler's been out with that tailbone.
Yeah.
Like Tucker's been having to do a bunch of creation off the dribble, and everyone's like, wow, like PJ Tucker dribbles? But
here's the broader question though, because I get what you're saying about the workload or this or that, but here's my thing. Some guys just can't play 82 games.
Yeah.
And I hate it.
Yeah.
I worry. I didn't buy it. I thought he just had some bad luck and this or that.
No, it's a concern.
But I don't even think it's a concern, Matt. I think it might be a fact at this point.
Well, I guess here's the thing I would say is like, the only thing I would say is players' health, when you can play through it, goes through dips and valleys. And if we get to the end of this season, which again, I want to say is 4 months from now,
Yeah, it's a ways away still. We're not even halfway.
Yeah. If we get through 4 months from now and Barton has looked like this for 5 of them out of the 6 months that the NBA plays, then yeah, like there's just no question. It's just like, look, I mean, they're not gonna be able to rely on Will. Will can't start because he physically can't hold up the minutes.
Right.
And he's not alone in that. And that doesn't mean that has nothing
That's
to
the
do.
thing, is it's actually more the norm. We kind of think of the high profile, the LeBrons of the world that played it later, and it's like that's actually not the norm. The norm is, and here's the real thing about it, because I don't think a knock is like, oh, he can't play an 82 game. I think he got hurt, and since that injury, it's changed. Like, I think he could be an 82 game player back when he was 26, 27.
Yeah.
Once he started getting injuries, it's like you no longer have an 82 games, 33 minutes a night in you. And I just worry. Here's my real concern is they just had 5 days off and he looked maybe his worst ever. And that I'm very concerned, because right now I don't think Will Barton is a good player.
I agree. I also think that Will Barton's not going to be a good player. And if you're going to say Will Barton's going to be a bad player for 2 months, you absolutely want it to be in December and January.
For sure. But another part of me thinks, like, are they better off without him, the version that they have of him right now? And I think, yes. I mean, look at his shooting splits over the last like 6-7 games he's played.
I would agree with you if I could look at the roster and go and find another guy.
I know you're going to roll your eyes at this, because again, I'm a Will Barton guy. This is not me saying this because I'm trying to put him down. I think Davon Reed is a better option than him right now, because everybody knows what Davon Reed is not. Right now, I think people are kind of coming to the realization of what Will Barton is not, which is what he's not is Will Barton.
I think that's a reasonable take. I think I do. I think it's a reasonable take. I think the problem is this is something that you're just going to have to kind of deal with. You just re-signed Will on a 2-year deal. Will honestly gave you kind of a sweetheart deal based on the market, and benching him creates an entire, like, you're throwing a dynamo, like
benching him is different though than like pulling him out to injury. This is the
thing.
Yeah.
No, if you can convince him to do it, if you can convince Will to be like, we need to sit you down. You got to get
maybe you can't. Yeah, maybe it is a thing you just can't talk to him about right now. But I do feel like it's not a benching as in we're going to play you a few minutes, you're going to come off the bench. It's more of a like, hey, what if you took off until January 1st and we reevaluate you then?
Yeah.
And let's try some try some rehab stuff. Like,
yes,
I just don't know why he wouldn't be open to that. He can't move. He can't guard. He can't close out.
If they are doing this, if he is only playing right now based off of like what they feel is necessity, I'm with you.
Yeah, right.
That, because you've been on this with a couple of different things this year, and I haven't agreed with all of them. But the general sentiment is one reason why this season sucks so bad for Nuggets fans is you've said several times, like, I just don't know if the alternative is worse.
Right. Yep.
That's how you were with J Mike, you know?
Right.
And so, I mean, look, I'm there with various members of the roster at times. And so I don't think that I'm not rolling my eyes at that at all. I think it's a totally reasonable take. I think I'll just say the training staff I've had a lot of concerns about through the years, from the core injuries to the lack of information. Like, that's a lot of it. There's no transparency. The guys, look, the players decide usually when they play. Like, they are the biggest voice in the room on it.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Yeah.
But I do think that somebody needs to get to Will and be like, I'm with you that Will needs to take weeks off. But the problem,
I just have no confidence in him right now to do the things that make him an effective player. Like, he does them every now and then, but
it also gets tough too, because it's like, again, if they slide just because they don't have enough scoring, they don't have enough whatever. I know he's not doing it right now, but the idea of what Will can bring from a talent, and I will say this, like, at least Will's like a guy on the personnel sheet that guys are like, oh, we got to watch out. Like, and you could say, like, not right now. No NBA players are watching. Like, no, who are they playing tomorrow?
Charlotte.
Miles Bridges has not, and he'll guard Gordon, but like Miles Bridges has not at any point watched the last 4 Will Barton games. He's going to get a sheet of paper or a digital report on his iPad that says
shooter, drive,
and then from there it's contextual. It's whatever defender. It's going to be like Gordon Hayward being like, oh, Will had like 25 on me when I was, 22.
Yeah, it could be.
And so, that's like different. But at the same, like, I'm not disagreeing that they need to sit him down. I'm just saying that, like, I don't see teams necessarily doing that. I saw like tonight, like the Thunder were concerned when he got the ball. He just couldn't hit because he's short on everything.
Whether or not he should sat down, I don't know. My thing is, I have no confidence in him being the effective version of himself right now. And I'm a Will Barton. I'm not saying this is like dependent on him. Something's wrong with him, and I'm really concerned about the fact that something's wrong with him.
Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll go through the rest of the guys, including the bench, which I have some conflicting thoughts about. We'll do that when we come back on Locked On Nuggets. But first, I want to tell you about BetOnline. They got you covered this holiday season, all the bowls, all the games, with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football continues its march through the college bowl season and the pro football playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. And you could use that 50% bonus to bet against the Raiders, because we both hate the Raiders, Adam. I've figured out how I'm going to do this. I'm not going to make fun of the Broncos. I'm going to make fun of the Raiders. And that's how we're going to get our 5-star reviews. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. So don't wait to take advantage of all the new, amazing offers available. BetOnline, where the game starts. You know, you listen to podcasts for the power of knowledge, especially this one. What knowledge is more powerful than my takes, Adam? But you switch to Boost Mobile for the power of saving money. Because with Boost, you get the power of a free 5G phone, so you can listen to all the latest episodes. The power of 3 unlimited data lines for $30 a month per line, so your family can harness all that brain power too. And the power of one of America's largest 5G networks, so you can do it all at the speed of 5G. With all that money you'll save and all that knowledge you'll gain, just how powerful will you become? Switch to Boost Mobile and find out. Get a free Samsung Galaxy A32 5G when you switch to one of America's largest 5G networks. More power to save. Boost Mobile. Free phone, limited new customers, and 1 per line. Additional restrictions apply. Offer and covered not available everywhere or for all phones and networks. See boostmobile.com for details. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. I may have bet the money line on the Thunder tonight. That's a thing I might have done. I did not see this coming. I gotta tell you, that's an interesting question, right? It's like, did you see this? Because you mentioned like the 5 days off. I almost want to give him a break on that. And the only reason is because any disruption of schedule, like the guys will say like the rest was good for the body. I don't necessarily know that especially from this is where the betting stuff comes in handy, right? Because you look at trends a lot to try and find the opportunities to bet. There's not like teams with 5 days off on the road versus a sub 500 opponent. Like that's not, those trends don't work out. Right. And so it's kind of weird. AG was bad tonight. The back's obviously not good. That's pretty clear.
He was very ineffective as a defender tonight.
Monte just drifted, right? Like, yeah. That's accurate. Like, it wasn't that Monte was bad. I just thought that Monte drifted. You agree?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. He wasn't. I don't think he was the problem, but he wasn't part of the solution. Kind of a thing. The guys that are in, the guys that I think we should probably talk about here. You mentioned Aaron Gordon. He's a little concerning to me because we know Malone said pregame he was not going to play. Vlatko Čančar was going to start in his place, so we know that he's a little bit banged up. So that's something to kind of monitor. Bones Highland went down with an ankle injury. This is the 3rd ankle injury he sustained since the start of the season. To me, that's pretty concerning. Bones was good, by the way, when he was out there, and not just was he good. I thought he played with more confidence and maybe even urgency than anybody else out of the 10-man rotation tonight when he in his 9 minutes, and then he rolled his ankle.
Who do you think was good off the bench?
Facu.
Okay. 3 of 9, 2 of 7 from 3.
Yeah, I mean his stats, his shooting or whatever, but he was the reason that second unit had energy. He made a bunch of big plays defensively. He stirred. He was the one that stirred. I thought Davon Reed was good. I thought Vlatko Čančar was really good. Vlatko Čančar got minutes. I mean, so the other guy I wanted to talk to before we got there was Zeke Naji, who had a breakout game in New York and has not had a good game since then.
You know what? I will say this: he missed a dunk on a cut. He just got blocked at the rim.
He got blocked.
Yeah, Zeke's like, I don't know what to do, but he's got to, maybe it's weight room. I don't know, but if he's going to be the role guy that they need, like, it's good to be a guy that can roll and pop. That's good. Okay. You got to be able to hit, like, when you've got a wide open lane to dunk the ball, go dunk the ball.
Yeah.
Like, that's important. Like, that's like the biggest thing about rolling. Like, that's what opens up a lot of that.
He needs some FU in him. He needs like a lot of it. He needs a big, huge. He needs to go spend. He needs to go to Jokic Brothers summer camp, where they throw knives at him until.
It's interesting. You look at the numbers tonight, and the defense, they give up a 108 offensive rating, which is it's bad to begin with this season. It's not bad like over the last couple of seasons, but it's bad this season. It's really bad to the Thunder, who that's like their big liability. And then, but like honestly, like the bigger thing is just. I will say, like, I think the offense it let their defense down. Like, do you think the defense let their offense down or vice versa?
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey got into the paint whenever they wanted. So
Giddey's
like, I don't know.
good.
I don't know what the numbers say, but all I know is they scored as much as they kind of wanted to tonight, and they got to the spots that they wanted to every single time.
I will say, as bad as the Nuggets looked, they still looked better than the Gold. I'll say that.
Oh, really? Gold didn't look so good? That's because all their players keep getting called up.
Because all their players are called up. Okay, I have a funny story for you on this.
Okay.
So there's at the G League showcase. There's a hospitality room, right, where they just got like it's your standard catering, like black curtains, sandwiches, sodas, and water. And in there, I look in, and Masai Ujiri is talking to Tim Connelly. And then, like, I look down 5 minutes later, and Nick Stauskas has been called up. And, like, that was not part of that conversation, by the way. Like, just those two were talking, and then, like, while that was going on, Nick Stauskas got called up, and they were short. It was really funny.
Well, I wanted to say this, though, because Zeke has been really bad, and he kind of got benched in this game as well in favor of Vlatko Čančar, who I thought came in and played very well. We kind of talk about the J. Mike, Zeke, Vlatko trio here. Do you feel like Vlatko deserves an opportunity now that Zeke has kind of had so many unremarkable games in a row?
Yeah, I'm up for it. I will say he and Facu, I think, play really well together. I think Vlatko and Facu play really well together. I think
can I tell you something, Matt, that you're going to really get annoyed at? And I have a hard time. Like, I spend time on the list. I spend time on all of this stuff trying to highlight this. Like, read and react basketball is like guys either know how to do it or don't. Yeah. Both of those guys know how to do it.
I agree.
And to me, it's such an important thing. Like, they just know how to read the court in real time. And I'm always blown away at how few players do.
The only gap between you and I on Vlatko is honestly, you consider him to be a low mistake player, and I consider him to be a low offensive mistake player, and I consider him to be a high defensive mistake player. I see defensive lapses a lot. Like, we should have a clip off. That's what you should do. You and I should, like, one of these days, you and I should just, like, go back and forth. Like, look at how good he does on this rotation. And I'll be like, look at this thing that he screws up here. And we'll just, like, go back and forth and see, like, which one's got more rounds in the chamber.
I'm worried anyway. Long story. If we break down this game, probably meaningless other than Will Barton is very concerning. And I don't know what the short-term future is for him. And Bones Highland, who knows? Michael Malone said, like, tape it up. We're going to play tomorrow. So maybe he plays. But we saw Bones Highland earlier this year at less than 100%.
Yeah, it's not good.
So
he just keeps getting banged up.
They really need him, especially if Will Barton does take a break. Like, Will Barton might not be able to take a break now like I want him to if you don't have Bones. Like, they're at a certain point, you're just so short on bodies that I don't know what the solution is. And
reinforcements are not coming. This is just how it's going to be until Jamal.
Lance Stevenson played well tonight. Do you see that?
No, I can tell you that
Lance Stevenson tonight, 1 point, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, a game high plus 12.
I I will just tell you that watching him at the showcase, I am not like, yeah, he'd be a great fit.
Yeah.
There are things that go beyond. I actually think he's a good fit for Atlanta.
I'm not clamoring to see Lance Stevenson play either. I actually think
he's a good fit for Atlanta and their locker room. I think that's a good fit.
Mm.
Not the same in Denver, I don't think. Okay, let's go wrap it up for Locked On Nuggets. We'll be back tomorrow night with another post-game show after the Charlotte game. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. You can check out Adam's work at thednvr.com. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow night with another episode of Locked